You got to do the intro. I don't do the intro.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to Ryan Got the Bread podcast. Ryan got the bread.
No, I don't have the bread.
Yes, you
Ryan
got the
bread. All right, so I want to introduce the man to my right. I don't know what it looks like on the camera, but his name is Jason Coles. He is the founder of Katika.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let him explain that. He's also a real estate investor. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. So Katika is it's going to be my life's work. So Katika, really quick, it's a Swahili word that means inclusive. And so it really plays into the purpose and the meaning behind the mission. So the platform, it lets anyone that goes on there connect and find Black-owned businesses, whether that's through our directory or marketplace. So we're like a Black Google, you can call us Bloogle, or a Black Yelp, or 21st Century Green Book, if you will. So we know that technology is like the missing link between, our business community and just our community in general. So we want to be that company, that beacon of light that kind of propels us into the 21st century.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's an app, right? It's on.
Yep. So it's an app. It's on iOS and Android right now. We actually just released our second version of it. So excited about that
2.0
because it actually ties into the website, which is coming in about 4 weeks. So
all right. So
excited about that.
I download the app. What do I
Yes,
do?
download Katika.
Right. So the next time, you know how like we're always like, hey, where can I find a Black-owned fill in the blank? Now you don't have to go on Google and type in Black-owned and that occupation or business. Now you can download the app and type in directly into the search box what you're looking for. So whether it's a restaurant, a service, professional service, local service, a church you might be looking for to go to, you can find them on this app. And not only will you find it in your local area, we're international. So if you're in London, you can find Black-owned restaurants. If you're in South Africa, you can find Black-owned restaurants. We are literally creating a global economy comprised of Black companies.
And I probably should introduce Kyle and Aaron over here too. Actually,
Everybody knows us
to
now.
my left, they were on the first podcast, but this is Kyle Ingram, Voodoo Man.
Voo.
What's your title? What would you call yourself?
I'm just gonna go by Voodoo Man from now on. That's about it because I do too much stuff, man.
I like it too.
Yeah.
That's catch
It's
branding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron,
You
what
gotta have
would
like
you,
logos like the
I need it. That's what I need.
How would you title yourself? What are you about? What's your elevator pitch?
I'm a lost soul looking for my home.
That's the face he was making. I was like, yo, he lost in the sauce. He's like, who am I?
I did see that in your
Yeah.
eye. I don't know.
No, I'm just a guy.
Stop. You're lying. Aaron's my business partner with Spartan Real Estate Investment Group. He does all the hard work.
all the hard work.
Yeah. Does all the project
I like
management.
that, Mr. Hard Work. I'm like, that might be a name for you. I'm working on one.
For some reason, that's catchy.
Mr. Hard Work. That might be your name.
Okay.
I'll be going those days like you know what I'm saying.
Drop the gems.
Because I don't come up with a name.
You don't. Everything be what it is.
I call it exactly what it is.
Name of our company is FI Media. We make media. It's F Ryan.Fagan, Ingram, Kyle Ingram, FI Media.
I name everything just the name.
Very simple.
Helps SEO. All right, so
Search engine optimization.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying
for
that
people
for
that don't know what
someone
that
who
is.
is-
Helps it become
I forgot
searchable.
people don't. All right, so
I want to know some more about Jason.
so
Yeah, me too. I really do.
Yeah, like
Well,
you
it's
talking
funny.
about
I'm a
Katika.
mystery man.
I met your
Hilarious.
sister yesterday that I didn't know was your sister.
Yeah.
And because she said she was from Burlington Township, and I was like, what? More people from the township? So
Yeah.
I guess give a little bit of your background, because I'm curious how the thinking process your life experience got you to creating an app to
Oh,
connect
man.
businesses. So
See, this is like I like and I hate this part because I'm a very humble person, and like when you talk about yourself,
No, you
it's
gotta
like,
big it up.
you
No,
know,
it's
no,
like you
blow it
brag,
up.
But it's like I'm just saying, my life, because I have been blessed to have done so many things. So originally from grew up in Ariel, New Jersey, which is, let's say, closest biggest town is Sicklerville, Winslow.
Yes.
So-
Winslow representative.
Right. So down
Winslow.
there, that was like my first. Let's say I left there when I was in 5th grade. So during that time period, I learned how to play the piano. Where I first started taking piano lessons. I first started, downloading games. I learned how to play at that time. Doom was big.
Yeah.
So like loading up, 3.5 floppy disk drives. So
Yeah.
that began my first like introduction to computers, right? Around that time. Also playing sports. So I was big in football and baseball. So
Right.
athlete growing up as well. So
What
I think
position you play?
I was a running back in football, and because I was always just a fast kid.
Running back,
Oh.
yo.
And baseball, I was actually horrible at baseball. The reason I was horrible at baseball, I was a great athletic kid, but I was so embarrassed to admit that I couldn't see,
Yo, that's
which is
funny.
crazy, like to even think about. But so many, like put sports aside, like even in school, like so many kids, black kids in particular, like fail or just like don't do well in school because they're afraid of the stigma of wearing glasses.
I had
like,
the same
admitting that.
experience.
Likewise.
man,
I
it is-
played
it's
baseball
trippy. Yeah.
and I couldn't catch the ball because I needed
Really?
glasses.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And then my parents took me to get glasses and I never wanted to wear them.
Yep.
Same thing, like you can't see the board, all kinds of crazy
all
stuff.
type of crazy stuff.
I got those sport band glasses.
Oh, you had the
I-
goggles.
I
I
played
refuse to wear them.
basketball.
Yeah.
I refuse
Yo,
to
we
wear
played basketball and goggles. You're definitely Mr. Hard Work. Like that seals the deal.
Yo, I played basketball with goggles. They would fog, but I could catch the ball better.
Yeah.
and I
Right.
could shoot better.
Yeah, I bet you
But-
could.
But then it would.
They,
fog where you hit
they
the
just said
base,
Steph
you
Curry
couldn't see.
got his contact lenses. He needed contact lenses,
Oh,
which who knows how that's gonna go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens a lot. I
'Cause how
guess
could you? 'Cause I
my
can't
sister had
see.
that experience.
It's tough.
Like,
It's really tough. Because I can remember at one point I was just like, all right, I'm literally about to fail out of school like 6th grade if I don't just move my seat and like go to the front of the board. So I'm like, after that, I was just like, like Eureka. So
That's
yeah,
funny.
so that was that part. So then after Ariel, like I said, left 5th grade and moved to Burlington. So close to
Woo,
you, Burlington Township, Falcon. And there, let's see, I started at Springside, which is right down the road. And Springside, I would say, actually, I think I did this back in Ariel, but that was the whole like beginning of my entrepreneurial career, if you will. So back in the day,
he was
we
about
used
to
to
start selling
have,
something.
people used to make like these like keychain things called GIMP, are made out of GIMP strings. You could do like different patterns and
Oh
designs.
yeah.
Like you had box and you had spiral.
Mm-hmm.
I would make these things and sell them for like 50 cents.
Right.
Huh.
So that was like, that had to have been like 3rd grade, yeah, before Springside. So yes, that's like 3rd grade. So then I get to Springside, a little bit more advanced in computers, and Napster's out.
Yeah.
This time. So now I'm learning how to download music, but then I figured out you could download more than music. You
Yeah.
download programs,
Mhm.
porn, and
Yes, sir.
and
We all
also
learned about that.
and also video games. So Dreamcast is out around this time,
Right.
and I'm literally burning like Dreamcast games on DVDs.
Yeah, on
in, like,
DVDs.
6th, 7th
Mhm.
grade, and selling them in middle school.
Yeah.
So again, that's that whole entrepreneurial. Like, okay, I've got a product. There's demand for it. I can sell it. So
How'd you feel like in computer class since you were doing all that other stuff?
It
Was it the
was-
worst?
no, what was wild was, and I'm glad you stopped me. So computer class, this is around the time that Dragon Ball Z's out.
Yeah.
Right.
So my computer class, it's me and the other geeks in the class, and this is typing class. I'm sorry. So if you got through whatever the typing was for the day,
Right, you're
you can
done.
do whatever you want.
Right.
So I would literally fly through
Yeah.
typing. One, because also Instant Messenger's out at that
Right.
time, so I'm getting fast on typing,
Mhm.
and that's like just get crazy speed. I'm going like 80 words per minute in like 7th grade. So like I'm knocking it out 10
Right.
minutes. The rest of the class, I'm able to just do what I want. So during that time when I can do what I want, I'm on GeoCities, and it was called Homestead.
I
at the time.
remember those two sites.
Yeah,
man.
so that
Mhm.
was the introduction to me actually building websites. Now,
Right.
back then, it was just click and drag around stuff. But I'm downloading GIFs of Dragon Ball Z. I'm downloading the stories of Dragon Ball Z,
Right.
and making my own like websites, if you will,
Right.
of that and publishing them. So that's like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. That's my first introduction in the website. So by the time at the end of 8th grade, I'm learning. I'm like, all right, this clicking and dragging stuff is cool, but how can I make more dynamic websites?
Mhm.
So then, do a little research, and there's a language called HTML.
Mhm.
So weekends, I'm teaching myself HTML. I'm like, I'm not going to school dances. I'm not going out. I need to know HTML.
Why though? Why'd you want to make a website?
I think it was out of curiosity, and then also middle school wasn't about money. It was more so just the thrill again of Dragon Ball
Just
Z,
to do
like
it.
being able to do it, like have your friends see.
What was
like,
the-
hey, I created something.
What was the
like,
dynamics of your middle school? Like, was it mixed? Was
Very
it-
diverse.
Very
So
diverse?
yeah, the group of friends I had, I was probably the only black kid that was in the computer stuff, but my other friends were white. So we would do music on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I had built a little studio in my basement, and then we would do the program or the websites
Right.
for Dragon Ball Z. So that also plays a big role, I think, later on, because I went to growing up in Burlington and having a more balanced, diverse background and having white friends and black
Mhm.
friends, like that played into my thinking of like, okay, not all white people are bad. Like there's
Right.
great white people out here.
Mhm.
Because by the time high school hit, I left Burlington. I went to Morristown, which is 99% white.
Yeah, it's all white.
And so, the makeup of that school, you had good, white people that are allies and nice
Right.
and friendly, but you also had some fucking racist white people.
Right.
So, but and I'm coming there, eyes wide open. I don't know. I'm like, oh my God, like this is a ritzy town,
Yeah.
millionaires are there. So, I'm not, my family is blue collar. So
Right.
my dad's construction worker, my mom's a teacher. So, being there, getting hit with the racism, but then I also play sports. So that countered it. So
Yeah.
now I already have friends, in the sports arena or area. So, so when I start to express interest or like, hey, I know programming too, because you look at me, I'm just, okay, black kid in an
Mhm.
all white school, he plays sports.
Right.
You're not going to think he knows how to play classical piano.
Right.
He knows computers, etc.
Mhm.
So it wasn't. I think it was a teacher there that was like that saw my interest and I guess saw the ability that I had and kind of pushed me to really expand my abilities in programming and HTML and stuff. So fast forward to like let's say sophomore year, junior year, where I'm like pretty good. And by that time, I know Photoshop, I know HTML, CSS,
CSS. Yeah.
and junior year, I got really good at Photoshop. I think statutes are all done. I started making fake licenses. Literally, I'm taking people's pictures,
Right.
like during lunchtime, going home. I've got like the whole setup. I'm literally making. So New Jersey was the last state to switch to
The sideways.
the sideways like
Mhm.
barcode licenses. We literally had a license that lamination machine and a hologram, and that was it. So yeah, I won't. That's a whole crazy story. So, but that actually came to an end, like thankfully amicably. But yeah, that was cop actually found some IDs and like luckily, yeah, it was a crazy story. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so by that time it's like, oh, you can make money at this. Like you're
Yeah.
making websites. People need websites. They need updates to their existing websites.
They need
This
fake
is-
IDs.
Yeah, they need fake IDs. Actually, so aside from the licenses, I was actually making high school fake IDs
Mhm.
because
To get into
at that-
dances?
to get into Shampoo nightclub
Oh, yeah,
here, Chrome
right.
nightclub. So you could be 16 and
Yeah,
party
get
in
in.
Philly,
Right.
but you had the date of birth had to be on there.
Right.
So it was accurate. It was like, the person's date of birth, but our high school IDs just didn't have the date of birth on there. So
Right.
I would just add that on there and make $10 per
All types of services.
all types of service. So I'm doing
Full service.
I'm doing white collar crime, But it was cool. So yeah. So by the time junior year hit in high school, I had formed my own our first corporation. Like I had to go to the TD Bank, or it was Commerce Bank at the time.
Commerce,
right
yeah.
down the street here. I opened up my first bank account with my mom, and had that whole main street in Morristown. I had like 5 clients there, and I would like just do different website stuff for them. And that's kind of like my background for that portion. Then I went off to Howard University, majored in finance. And so when I was there, I got in the club promotion, which I feel like everybody does when you're at Howard. But no, I had a really good time there. Was able to, again, like just kind of be myself and do a bunch of things. So
So what made you
Sorry, real quick. So at Howard, I kind of put the website and the graphic design stuff on hold, even though I'm still doing it for like making flyers and what have you. But majoring in finance, I know I didn't want to go to Wall Street. So I said, okay, what other parts of finance,
well, why don't
what
you
other
want to go to
areas?
Wall Street? That's where you make money, right?
Yeah, but so the area of finance I chose to go to was real estate. So that's
okay.
that's what got me into real estate.
Why'd you choose real estate?
So the reason I didn't want to go to Wall Street was because when you're a freshman at Howard, you get adopted by a Wall Street company. Mine happened to be Credit Suisse. So we went up there to New York, met with some of the people there, and they gave us, the corporate treatment. But then they like told all the people, like the corporate people, to leave, and they were like, "All right, we're going to put you with like people fresh out of college. Like you could just ask them whatever you want." They were like, "Listen, unless you're prepared to work like 80 hours a week, like work weekends and sacrifice it." And I know my personality. I'm very in tune with the type of person I am. I'm just like, that's not for me. So immediately that turned me off. They turned me off from finance. That. Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know
and
that.
Then they were like, I messed
exactly. Up. So, it's a lot of just.
I want to jump back a second. What made you go from, Morristown, which is 99% white, to a HBCU?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great question.
Was that a culture shock for you?
No, not at all. Not at all. So I'm the youngest in my family. I have 3 older siblings. 2 of them went to HBCUs. Mm-hmm. So I have a brother that went to Norfolk State, and my sister went to Jackson State. My mother she went to Cheney State. She's also a Delta.
Okay.
So I had a very strong background with like
my mom's
Afros,
Delta too.
Right. Your mom's Delta too, right. So it's like having that strong like Afrocentric, like just awareness of your culture. Like I never lost my identity, if you will.
Right.
Can't say the same for a lot of people at Morristown, black students at Morristown.
Right.
Same thing
in Voorhees.
Yeah. Right. When you're put in that type of environment, unless you have a true sense of self-identity and like your culture and community, and sometimes you have to figure that out later in life. It's not, because you're only 14 to 18 in high school. Right. So not, it may come later in life, but fortunately for me, I had that, which is why I was so grounded being in the school with 99% white people.
Right.
So by the time I left there, it wasn't, if I go to an HBCU, it's a black school. It's not a real representation of the world. It's no, I'm going to a community of people that look like me,
right,
and that I'll be nurtured and then leave that and excel into the real world.
Yeah. How was your experience in Morristown? Like, did you hate it or
No, not at all. I actually really loved it. Fortunately, because it is. I mean, I think in 2006 it was rated the #1 town to live in, Money Magazine, right?
Yeah, so, statistically, it's
right,
like
statistically,
a great school and all that. But
so,
anywhere where you go where it's only white,
right,
there's no minorities, it could be difficult.
It can be, but I think I was there at just a perfect time, right? So this is before social media, Facebook, the whole dynamic of just interactions with people was different, right? And so you have people that. Literally, that town is like split by railroad tracks. So you do have your rich side, you have your poor side, and I was friends with kids on both.
Right.
So
I think
it goes, and then it also goes into just being a well-rounded person. So I'm playing with, sports jocks. I'm also in orchestra. I'm also in computer programming. So I'm literally, and then I played in a rock band. So I'm literally friends with
lots of different.
But I think that also comes back to what he said earlier about like being. Like early education, I think is important in developing that, which I think is important.
Well, because there's a couple of things that like came to my mind. My mom talks about like even like if you grow up in like a poor black neighborhood and that's all you see, you get programmed that way too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, depending on what perspectives you have when you're growing up, it's crazy.
Right. So like I didn't have a black girlfriend till like my sophomore year. Like all my girlfriends are like white growing up. It's like. And I think that
here's the thing, like
because I didn't see color growing, it's like I saw, but I didn't think
you weren't worried about it,
right? And like racial things didn't really like come up in topics,
I think
at that young age.
There was a special time during that generation.
It was.
Yeah,
I feel like that where we thought we were past a lot of these.
Well,
things,
everyone was talking that post-racial,
of issues.
Everyone was trying to front like it wasn't an issue. Like we had won.
Which I
Like,
think
we
is
got
actually
past
causing
it.
problems now because we're going back. Because now
Well, I don't think it's
this
going
stuff
back. I
exists.
think that we're recognizing that we didn't make as much
Well,
progress as we thought.
it's back in the dialogue now, though. 'cause
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
gone, I feel like.
Well, I think it's back in dialogue because of the leader of the free world.
Yeah, but I
But-
think that's a circumstance of
It's all connected because, like, to me, the reason that we had Barack Obama was because we were, as a society and country, trying to prove the fact that we're in this post-racial society.
Right.
So everyone's
There was a
like,
big
yeah. So
kickback on
everyone's
that.
like, we can have a black president. So that happens. But then there's a large sentiment of the country that's not ready for that, was never ready for that,
Yeah.
and they just weren't expressing themselves. So once they saw, they're like, this is the last straw. I can't do it.
Right.
And that pushback is what we're seeing now. That's how Trump even got into office.
But that's and I think when people get, there's a misconception. That's it's significant because there is that faction of the company, but it's a third of the country.
Yeah.
The majority of the country does not have that
Yeah,
ideology
no,
or thinking.
no, they
Yeah.
don't. But they
because
don't.
he has
Yeah.
the biggest microphone and the biggest pulpit to expound
No,
those,
yeah.
Well, also-
those thoughts and things.
But I think most
It
of the
just seems
country.
like, oh my God, the whole country is
No, it's
racist.
not. Yeah, it's not
And-
most of the country being racist, but most of the country is apathetic to racism.
But it sounds like it. Right. I get you.
I got so something that I've been playing around with a lot is the idea of like W.E.D. Du Bois talks about it a lot, where it's called removing the veil, where like it's like the first moment that you realize that you're black. Like it's usually like the first racist thing that ever happens to you.
Yeah.
Do you have like a story or something that you remember where you're like, oh? Because like for me, I remember the first time, and I don't remember. My parents actually told me this happened to me, but I was at a swim club and I was swimming in the pool. I used to love to go there. It was like my favorite place. And I get out the pool and this random kid is like, my parents made me get out the pool because you're black and you're dirty and you're making the pool dirty.
Wow.
And
That's crazy.
I told my parents that I didn't even understand what
Right,
that
you didn't-
meant. 'Cause
exactly,
I
yeah.
didn't know I'm black. I didn't,
Right.
like I'm just a person.
Right.
And so that was like devastating.
Yeah.
But I actually don't remember it until they told me about it. But it had a big impact on me. And I talked to other people, and I feel like a lot of people had this experience at least once where they're like, whoa, like, and it changes your whole like view of the world. I feel
Yeah.
like you have a
Yeah.
like that.
I'm thinking, even though it wasn't like overtly said, like this is happening because you're black. Like I can recall, I think it's definitely down in Ariel. Basically, I'm playing with my neighbor, white kid. I bring my toy over. He brings his toy over. We're at his house, and at some point, he's like, "I want both toys," right? And I'm like, "What?" Or like, So I go home and like we get into some type of argument. I end up leaving. My toy's still there, right? So I'm like, but that's what it was. Before I left, I'm like, I want my toy. This guy's name is Ben. I'm like, I want my toy, Ben. His dad comes out and it's like, basically says something like crazy that you shouldn't say to a kid. Again, I don't remember. I'm like 5 or something, 6 or something.
Right.
So like, all I know is like, I went home. I'm crying. I'm telling my mom, what happened. She tells my dad. My dad like holds my hand. We go back over there, and like, it's handled. Like, Ben and I went on to be friends, of course, after that. But that was like, I think the my first introduction to white privilege, if you will. It's like,
I had something like
what's
that
mine
happen.
is mine, and what's yours is mine.
Yeah, I had something like that happen in preschool too. Somebody, it's
like,
crazy.
That's a real thing. Like that never, and not to say that black people's kids, or black kids don't have that same type of dynamic, but it was like the fact that the kid said it to me,
dad.
and it was reinforced by the dad.
Right.
It was like, damn.
So,
but,
something like
of course,
that
I'm thinking
happened.
about this as an adult,
Right.
It's
now,
an injustice, like how, because I don't have the power.
Well, it's like that happened,
Right.
that happened in preschool. Like I was in preschool and I was playing with a toy and I was in a mostly white neighborhood. Kid comes up to me and tries to take it. And he pushes me, so I get up and I punch him in the nose. Guess who gets sent to the office? Me. Yeah. So, but my dad crazy. They call him and he's like, well, what happened? So I told him, he's like, that's what you're supposed to do. If he does it again, he's gonna punch him again. Right. So he's like, we're gonna go get McDonald's. So I was like, all right, cool, I did the right thing. So, but like the whole school system back this up. Like, he tries to take my toy, pushes me down, I defend myself, and now I'm in trouble.
Well, I mean, that plays right into the statistics that we know. Like, black kids are more likely to get suspended,
Right.
put in detention,
Right.
reprimanded for anything.
Right.
And,
That's why representation is super important.
So important.
Because, like, my sister told me a story in Burlington Township where she just got her hair done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, she's got black hair. So it's $250 sitting there for 8 hours,
Right.
Takes up your whole Saturday. And she goes to school on Monday and it's raining. It's gym class. She says, well, she puts on a scarf. They tell her to take it off because it's against school policy. But she's like, I just got my hair done. I've ruined $250 hair. And she got a detention and all that stuff. And my mom, who's white, went down, storming down to the school. And there was this whole big thing. But I think it's like a lack of understanding and cultural, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
exactly
that's the real question.
So some of these things aren't overt, but it's still relevant. Like, the policy is like
this is the question that I'm dealing with right now constantly. Like, how much of it is just not knowing and how much of it is just not caring?
This is where we always argue.
You're right.
Because I used to feel
I try to give more benefit.
I used to feel like that. I used to feel like, they just don't know, like, if they were, but I feel like there's a lack of just caring overall. They just don't care. Like, all right, for example, the whole thing that you posted on Facebook about Kate Smith with the Flyers. Like,
yes. So this Kate. All right. So let's talk about this Kate Smith. This Kate Smith thing is basically she's some singer from what the
30s and 40s, yeah.
And she's sung "God Bless America," and they played in Wildwood on the boardwalk, and they played in
Flyers
Stadium.
Yeah. And come to find out, I guess some people found out her other songs are like Pickaninny Heaven. And that's what darkies are for.
Yeah.
And some people are saying some of it's satirical, but people were trying to get it taken down. There's a statue of her.
Yeah, there's a statue.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone. Right.
Well,
but this is the thing, right? So they moved the statue, but Wildwood said they want it. Like, after Wildwood in New Jersey, Wildwood said they want the statue. They said they're not going to stop playing the song. So to me, like,
it's okay. First of all, it's a stupid song. It's not a big deal, but the idea that
a community
I like it is more important than it offending you is kind of.
It's just not caring. This is what I'm saying. Like, if I said like, yo, this is really offensive to me, you're like, I don't care. I'm putting the statue up anyway. You just don't care.
I got an argument about this. Okay,
I think I'm going to be on your side with this.
I don't think so.
We'll see.
All right. Obama and Michelle invited Common to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do you remember what happened with that? Everyone was upset. He sings about rap and drugs and all this types of stuff, and everyone thinks you validate that man because he supports Mumia Abdul. Yeah, from Philly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there was a big argument, right? He sings, or he might support things that aren't common or that aren't supported, but he was there at the White House. Do we have a problem with that?
No.
This lady sung racist things and satirical comedies and whatever it may be. I don't know all the facts.
So to go to that, right? There's been a whole plethora of artists that have made different types of comments, different types of statements that are political or non-political. There's a lot of different political figures that have different ideas. So just to visit the White House is not the same thing as building a monument to somebody whose song offends an entire community. Also, the power structure in America, when Common speaks about whether it's Mumia Abdul-Jamal or just black power in general, or black consciousness or equality, that should not be one offensive. Now, you have people like Kid Rock, who now visits the White House, pretty frequently during the first tenure of Donald Trump, who says straight up racist stuff. So it's not really about the visiting of the White House. It's about a city taking the NHL organization, the Flyers, decided, you know what, this song is racist. We're not going to play it. We're not going to have a monument to her. So after all that has been decided, Wildwood says, well, we don't care. We want that statue. That's crazy.
I understand.
That's annoying.
So let's put this in. Wow. I over here coughing a lot. Let's put this in a broader sense where we're talking about this, right? So what we're really talking about is revisionist history, right?
Yeah.
Things that people did in their past
Mhm.
that we're now looking at a different lens
Sure.
in 2019, and how we're going to impose our senses and culture now
Okay. Mhm.
on the
Yeah,
past,
can't
right?
do it.
So while I agree, I don't know the lady.
I don't know,
enough about
'cause,
the
like,
story
I don't
that
know
she
if
said
it-
in the song.
It might be a satire. I don't know.
But what I'm saying is that's a slippery slope, because if we start doing that especially when you get into music and
And
artists in
art.
general,
Yeah, and art in general. Yeah.
that's dangerous.
It
Then you
is.
start eliminating.
So here's,
destroying,
but this is my,
destroying things.
I agree completely.
So while I'm not saying that she, I'm not, of course, I'm not supporting her and saying that she was right for singing or having those songs. What I'm saying is that I don't think we should start going through history.
Right, like I'm not gonna go
the culture that we have today in 2019, because
it's a completely different culture.
1930s,
It's way different. So like I'm not gonna look at like Charlie Chaplin films, or I'm not gonna look at the films from the 40s where or
Right,
comedians.
I agree with
Bruce.
you.
So,
I agree.
Here's the thing. Should they play the song?
I don't. No, but here's the thing. I don't even, to be honest, me as a black dude, I don't care whether or not they play the song. I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
And it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really affect me, especially at hockey games.
But
there are way more important things.
Yeah.
Right.
But it makes me 1% less likely to go there.
No, the thing about this
If you
issue.
now know that about this woman,
and you still
play that song, then yeah.
It's like the Confederate flag. Like some people fly.
Some things need to be
flag,
revised.
Yeah,
and
I agree about the.
And they think the Confederate flag. They don't think it's offensive. They actually don't think it's offensive.
Yeah, they're
but
like, this is our
again. This is what I'm saying. This is my point.
I know you think they do it on purpose.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is,
that is definitely on purpose.
See,
that is absolutely on purpose.
I think there is some percentage of people who don't think it's offensive.
I don't believe it. I don't think
some people really do just look at it as a symbol of their heritage,
But this is where I'm going with this is, okay, you don't think it's offensive, but people are telling you that they're offended by it.
Right.
You may not agree,
all right,
but now you have a decision to make whether you do it knowing that you're offending them or not.
I'll use this as a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
If someone is dumb, stinky, like they just smell like they poop their pants, and they're walking around, and you tell them like, "Yo, you stink, you stink, you stink." After a while, you're gonna be like, "Yo, you can't come here. You're offending everybody else. You can't just say I don't care." That's what's happening. Like they're just like, "We don't care about you. We're just gonna wave our poop in your face. Like we're gonna put this statue up. We're not gonna take our flag down. We're gonna wave this flag down." That's what it feels like. Like we just
being sent.
like we don't care what you think. We don't care you're offended. We don't care that you smell this. We don't care.
We don't care.
Yeah, we don't agree with what you think, and we don't care what you think.
And again,
I don't care about Kate Smith per se, but for a city if an organization in Philadelphia says that we're going to remove this statue because it's offending people, it's racist, and for a city that relies on tourism to say we don't care, we're going to take that statue. We love that song. We'll put it up.
It's funny because most of the tourism to Wildwood's from Philly.
Yeah.
But let's also not forget, just because we are in the north, do not think that there are not racist people up here.
No, there's racist people everywhere. This is what I'm saying. The things that people count.
If you look at some of the
allow
comments,
people,
comments, if you look
at comments,
the comments,
you're like, oh my god, people live here that think like this.
Yes,
and we're around them. Yes,
actually, the last couple of days, I've been having to stay off of that because I looked at those comments and I'm like, yo, these people, that's what they're saying. We say we don't care about.
They don't care.
Screw you.
And they won't say it. And
they won't. You're un-American if you don't like it. And it's like, damn,
Well, this is why I say they won't say that to us. They won't say it on camera on the news. But if you look at it sometimes in the comment section or when they talk amongst themselves, if they're in a bar,
there's still anonymity there,
Well, yeah.
So they can.
That's depressing.
And that's what my point is. Like, it's not that they don't know. They do know. They just don't care. So like back when I was talking about the Obama thing, right? We were saying that, yes, there's 1/3 of the people that are very vocal about the fact that they don't care. Not even that they don't care, that they want things to go back to a time where we're not as
make America
equal, make America great again. There is that. There are a smaller percentage. The larger percentage just doesn't care about that.
And this is where I think Katika is actually super important because if we can build up our own,
then we don't have to care.
then we don't have to care.
Right.
Because
That
those
is-
people have the privilege of not caring about Black people.
Right.
And we need to create our ability to not care about what they're doing over there.
Yep.
Because we're never going to change people's minds.
No.
Right.
And but when you what gets their attention is money.
It does, but
It's
to
the
me,
finances.
more importantly
So,
than that is just being able to ignore them altogether. Like if we were to say, you know, we don't have to go to Wildwood because Katika's having an event at some other beach.
Exactly.
Like we're all going up there anyway. So Wildwood, you know, you're done.
But
Like that would be like, yeah, that's
But
lit.
that's the problem is that we don't have.
People are like,
We don't
oh
have-
man,
yeah. So in one of what was it? Oh, it was the screening of the Boss
Oh,
film.
the boss thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
In that film, it talked about.
So this is the boss film on WHYY.
Yeah.
Where you were speaking at.
Yes.
And they
So
premiered it.
Stanley Bradley, can't think of the name. I don't know. Stanley something. But he put together one of the most comprehensive documentaries talking about Black business from the time of like the 1900s up until present day. And it was just dynamic, informative, it was incredible. Definitely go watch it. It's for free. WHYY.org. So, but anyway, in that documentary, it talked about at one point W. Du Bois and Booker T.
Mm-hmm.
They created in 1900, get this right, the National Negro Business League.
Yes.
So people, you know, we talk about Black Wall Street and there was a time where Black towns and Black economics was doing well. It was because of that business league.
Yeah.
They had chapters in different states that all talked to each other and connected business to business, business to consumer. Eventually, of course, that was torn down. But if we study history, we could say, okay, this is when we were most prosperous. So we had a Green Book, we had the Business League, and that's when we had Black Wall Street. So now, fast forward that to 2019, Katika is we're saying, okay, we could be that central hub that Green Book, the directory, and the marketplace, but let's take it a step further. Now we need to start building out business leagues in every city, every state, everywhere, and across multiple industries.
Yeah.
Not just in business. I mean, everything from social work to education to
we need to build our own
everything.
communities, right?
Our own communities,
Self-sufficient.
So we're self-sufficient, self-sustained. That's how you really start.
See, the difference is
and keep the dollar within our community.
The challenge that we're facing now that they faced obviously other challenges that were probably more difficult, but the challenge that we're facing now is the Black community is so spread apart. At the time, like it was segregated. So if you put a business league somewhere, like you could only buy from certain stores as a Black person. You could only go to certain places. Now you have to get people to understand why they need to buy from Black stores, why they need to support Black-owned businesses. And I think that's a secondary step
and that's the whole thing with Katika is because it's hard to know where the Black businesses are to support them.
Exactly.
If you wanted to,
it's just not on the top of the consciousness, but the less friction you make to find it, the more likely people are to do it.
Absolutely.
So where are you going with this?
Everywhere.
I mean, right now,
what do you see in your mind? Like I drew the line from your upbringing, your experience at academia, you dipping your toes in Wall Street, making this app. What's next?
What's next is to start populating this app. Again, create the business league. But the ultimate goal is so one day when I was looking at Katika and just where I had traveled, I started making the triangle, the transatlantic slave trade triangle. And I was like, wow. And then I started thinking, well, what if we flip that? What if instead of a transatlantic slave trade, we have a transatlantic economy to where we're all connecting the diaspora back together. And that can be done with technology.
Right.
So two things, even though slavery and all that was bad, two things that you could say that were good that came out of it. One was the English language is universal within the whole diaspora. So now we're connected by language, and then technology.
Right.
We can all be connected through technology. And so by doing that, I think that starts to create that bridge to where we can start having those conversations and the strategic planning to start forming business leagues, centralizing our information, and then ultimately literally creating our own economy.
Right.
So the ultimate vision, like I said, transatlantic economy, introduce our own economy, and then because Africa has all the natural resources, you can back that economy by natural resources, gold, silver, diamonds, etc. So,
well, that's from like my research when I was looking in West Africa, and because I'm interested in building and all this stuff, is like they have to import certain building materials and finished products from China when they have all the resources, but they don't have any refining. So it's like that's like the next step, I think, is to I'm really interested in figuring that out.
So Philadelphia is as a lot of people know, is the largest poorest city in the country. So we are literally the perfect blueprint for how to show or how to revitalize a community, right? Black community specifically. If you look at when Philadelphia was in its prime, it's when we had manufacturing throughout the city.
Right.
You drive around today. I just came from North Philadelphia, driving straight down Broad Street, and I'm passing the old factories. They're huge buildings. And surrounded by them is nothing but poverty.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So where's all the wealth? The wealth is concentrated downtown.
Right.
We're all Comcast and Aramark and all that. Okay, everybody that lives in that vicinity is doing well.
Right.
So that's okay. That's I know I'm saying this is like it's common sense, but it really is common sense. So okay, if the businesses and corporations are here and everyone's doing well there, the businesses that used to be here aren't here anymore and everyone's doing poor here. That means that these factories and businesses need to come back. Now they can't come back in the same capacity because
industries change.
Industries change, economy. So what can go? But the buildings remain intact for the most part. A little dilapidated. And those neighborhoods, the workforce is still there.
Yeah.
They just need to know what to work on.
Right.
Right. So Philly being blue collar, definitely hands-on, more labor-intensive type of workforce. So knowing that, I started thinking, okay, what are industries or things that could be built in 2019? Number one, Philly should become the 3D printing capital of the world.
Yeah.
There's no city that dominates it right now. I always look at the different conferences about 3D printing and stuff. They're up to the point now where they can 3D print dentures.
Yeah.
People's teeth.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine being able to, and the other part about 3D printing is you don't have to switch the equipment out. You're literally switching the software out to make something different.
Mm-hmm.
So the cost to produce goods comes down significantly. So that whole economy to scale, you can throw that shit out the window.
Mm-hmm.
No cost for molds and stuff.
Exactly, for molds.
But you don't need a lot of humans to operate that.
You do and you don't. So I would try to strike a balance where you don't automate things. So I think that's where we're as a society we're having this struggle, right? We're trying to be more efficient and efficient in processes, and so we automate things. But that's taking away jobs. So now at at Walmart, you don't have a person ring you.
Yeah, you just go ring it up yourself.
They're about to replace everybody at the toll booths with Easy Passes and just take a picture if you don't have Easy Pass. Those are American jobs. So what?
You can't stop efficiency though. That's the problem. You can't artificially stop it.
Right.
If it's
according to who? According to who? The powers to be, Wall Street, these large corporations. Well, this is why we have to break this system.
But I do think the core of capitalism and how the system works, it's going to always lead to, because
I'm glad you said that.
So we have a business. We're in the same business. You have a 3D print shop and I have a 3D print shop.
Yeah.
And I hire 2 people and you hire 6 people. I'm going to be more efficient because I can make the stuff cheaper and easier. And that's going to be hard to, how are you going to compete against that?
How?
Because
you have 2 people, I have 6 people.
My expenses are less and I'm able to output just as much because I'm using the 3D printer technology. You're using some of the you're using humans to do some of the processes that could be automated, which is going to give me the advantage. I'm probably going to beat you on profit margin.
Right.
So what do you do about that?
If
Are you going to legislate and say are you going to legislate and say you can't do that? Because then you're legislating inefficiency.
So
that other countries.
So this is where having the business leagues or associations, trade groups, if you will. So you do it by industry. So now we're not competing with each other. We're setting prices for the whole city. Let's just take like a child care center, for instance. Child care is one of the highest expenses for parents and people in general.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So imagine we have on Katika a list of all the Black child care facilities. Instead of going, hey, I'm going to underprice my competition, let's come up with a standard price level that everyone can make money and it serves the community and it's a win-win, right?
You might run into legal issues because this is like forming a cartel.
Yeah, but the diamond industry does that. They set their prices.
Yeah,
That's international.
there's ways to like there's loopholes, but
because in real estate I can't go to other brokers and say you need to charge 6%. Like you can't.
Yeah,
that's illegal technically to do.
I think there's certain industries you will be able to do it in. Certain ones, of course, you can't. But overall, it has to be a buy-in. So you mentioned capitalism. I think this country has gotten too far. When I think of capitalism, I think of it in two ways: corporate capitalism and community capitalism.
I'm going to agree with you on the whole.
Yeah.
The capitalism.
So like
thing.
Ben and Jerry's. Community capitalism.
That's one way to do it. Yeah.
Tom Shoes, community capitalism.
Because
pretty much like oil companies, everybody else.
Well, that's the problem.
And that it's so out of balance now.
Yes,
like
for sure.
That it's like if we continue this trend, I just saw it's like Black people's median wealth will literally be at zero by like 2035.
Yep.
Like zero. Like, and people were like, oh, okay. Like what?
People don't even know. Yeah.
With that, like,
yeah.
Like that is like apocalypse right there. Like no, that is crazy. So something has to change. Like the system has to be broken.
I agree
so this
with
whole
that.
like Democratic Democrats for Justice or whatever AOC and all the people, they need to like lead the legislature.
We need more of them.
We need more of them. They have to fight the fight on the legislative side. We need people like us that are fighting it on the business side.
Right.
We need social people. Like it's a multiple front war, but it is a war at our doorsteps. And if we don't do something,
well, the funny thing about that in this country, right, is if you say anything about the concept of capitalism, if you talk about capitalism, you're like, oh, you're not American. Like the idea of limiting or adjusting the idea of, because it's not like
the free markets and all that.
Yeah, if the concept of changing that has become, and through a lot of marketing and a lot of I guess propaganda, a lot of propaganda. It's become like they try to make it synonymous with the country, and that's just not right, because I think if you're the wealthiest country in the world, you shouldn't have this level of disparity, this level of poverty, this level of the
socialism capitalism argument is stupid.
Yes.
Because everything is a mix of the two.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I agree, because this pure capitalism with no rules is out of control. Because what happens is once you amass so much wealth, you do have economies of scale and you crush everybody else. Especially
for a while,
when you give
until
when you take
then.
Listen, I'm at the point where I'm like, boycott anything that is trading on Wall Street. Like,
it's too big.
It's too big. Like, there's a reason why. Okay, if you open up a burger spot, right, you're going to be going down to the restaurant depot to get your goods and stuff.
So you pay 10 times.
Right now, you're going to be paying at a discount versus buying it right out of retail, going to a restaurant depot. McDonald's will come in and crush you, charge $1 for a hamburger because of their economies of scale. Like they're so big, and that's uneven. That's a monopoly, in my opinion.
And there's a whole bunch, and it's growing.
Community and outprice everybody.
Oh, like Madison's Market,
and then pay $5 or $7 minimum wage to your employees.
Yeah,
like, and that has to change.
And that is the problem. Is that
sorry, I get real passionate.
Even they understood that capitalism will cause this to happen if you allow monopolies to form or things to get too big.
Yep.
So to say that you don't agree with companies being too big is not anti-capitalist.
It's funny though?
Actually good capital.
So I'm gonna try to break this down for people that maybe aren't finance majors.
Yeah, do that because I'm.
But like, so a lot of people had a problem when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, right? They're like, this isn't fair. Like, why would he do that? Right. So imagine, right? Kevin Durant, LeBron James, James Harden all say, you know what? We just want to win championships. We don't care. We'll all just play together.
Yeah.
And who would watch that?
What it is.
So that's basically what happens is all these people that have all these resources just come together, form one team and crush everybody else. And everywhere they go, like, you have no chance to win.
Yep.
That's exactly what's happening.
So that's what's happening in business.
Rules and government to say, okay, you can't do that.
That's why teams have.
That's what regulations are for.
Right.
Regulations are not bad. They can be bad, but they're usually not bad.
They definitely can be. And I guess that's how we'll get into real estate because, boy, construction permits and all that stuff. Sometimes it's ridiculous. Some of the stuff
I'm glad I'm doing it in the city and not a township because there's a difference.
So, all right. So let's get to that. I want to give some because we went off the rails. I didn't do it. I know.
It wasn't me.
We're not talking about no Ryan got the bread stuff, no money stuff. We are though because this is what I want to talk about. But I want to give some people that don't know anything about real estate a look into what's, because I think we see all these really successful, famous people, and it's a little unattainable. Yeah. So like we're kind of more regular people for now. Right. I mean, 10 years later, people might look back.
Watch out now.
Like, oh, shoot.
Not take that long.
Yeah. So I want to provide, so just, I guess, how did you get started in real estate investing? Like, what was the first thing you did?
All right. So before I bought my first piece of real estate, I actually got my real estate license.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. That actually only came about because I couldn't get an internship. And I was like, I got to do something this summer. So I literally just registered with Long and Foster. I think they're out of business.
No, they're still in
business?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will be soon. A lot of brokerages going down. They don't know how to market. Anyway.
Yeah. That's fine. So that got me interested. This is around 2006, 7, so right before the crash.
Oh.
So I'm in DC at the time. So this is like everybody and their mom is trying to get in real estate at this point. They're like, everybody's getting licenses, they're buying properties, blah, blah, blah.
That's kind of happening now, too. I'm getting a little nervous because I'm like, prices getting high.
There, and there's a reason for that. I'll get to it for a second. But so fast forward. I didn't end up buying in DC, but I heard about a program when I was down there called NACA. NACA stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. It's a nonprofit, advocacy nonprofit that helps the little man. So if you need help with student debt or first-time home buyer, NAC is there for you. So I moved, fast forward, I went to backpacking, came back home, and then I moved to Philly. Now, stayed with my parents, then I went to the NACA program. So the NACA program works like this. They say that if you may have messed up early in your life, with finances. However, if you can show us that you can pay your rent for 1 year and all your bills, utilities, cell phone, blah, 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 we will qualify you for this program to where you will not put $1 down and no closing costs for your first property. Boom. That is huge. I'm going to say that again.
Yeah, that is
no
huge.
Down payment, no closing costs. So if I pursue a property that is $500,000, normally, let's see, 10% would be $50,000. So 20% would be $100,000. I don't have $100,000, and most people don't. Mm-hmm. However, going through this program, I was able to get a $490,000 program or property, a triplex, no money down, no closing costs. It took me, so I said I was living with my parents. After going to their workshop, it's you go there one Saturday, get all the information, and you get a NAC ID number. That's pretty much it. And then afterwards, you'll get a counselor. But go there, go on that Saturday, get in the program. I learned what I had to do, and I literally, maybe 3 months later, moved out, got an apartment, put all my bills on auto pay, and just, ate ramen noodles and PB&J, just sacrificed. And got qualified for the program, ended up buying my first triplex by Temple University.
Wait, what year? What did you?
This is 2017.
2017,
Yeah,
you
so
bought
2 years ago.
something near Temple,
Yeah,
which has been on fire.
16th and Diamond.
It's on
Oh,
fire.
really?
So
16th and Diamond?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
that, if you know anything about that area,
What's that worth now? 7?
Those properties
700?
going up. They keep playing around with the stadium, but that was my other reasoning. So I said, real estate is all about location, location, location. So if there was even the thought, well, one, I wanted a property near a university just because for my time in college and I moved off campus, I saw where that will always be, you always have institutional renters.
Right.
So,
all right, but hold on.
More
hold on. Let's get detail here,
okay,
right? So, all right, so with the Naca program, you go to the counseling on a Saturday.
Right.
And then they give you a counselor.
Yes.
That you basically, what do you do with the counselor?
So the counselor is going to basically be your financial coach. They're going to say, okay, let's look at your expenses. Let's see where you could save. So you don't have to get a rental, a 3-unit or even
That's
a rental
just really
property.
Smart to do.
That was just really right.
That.
Yeah, it's just smarter to do that. If you don't have to pay a down payment, then yeah, you want to get a rental property. However, I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to pursue that. So yes, I had to show the difference of what the mortgage would be. So let me back up a second. So I said that NACA, they look at what you pay in rent, and they will say, okay, you can pay that as a mortgage. Let's say I'm paying $1,200 in rent, but the mortgage that I want is $2,000. I have to show that I can save that $800 difference every month in a savings account and show that to them. So your NACA manager will kind of help you, look at your financial statement and say, okay, you can probably save money here, cut back here, do different things in order to achieve your goal.
Do they include the potential rent? So if you're buying a multifamily unit, you're going to rent out the other units.
Yeah.
Do they credit you back into that calculation?
So they have a tricky formula, but it's very transparent.
Because $500,000 is a lot.
It is. So you have to show that you have. Did leave that part out. You have to show that you have 3 months of the mortgage.
Okay.
You don't have to. It never gets spent. They just want to see it on the statement.
You just have to have money in your account.
Have money in account. So fortunately, I had saved enough, and told my family what I was doing, and it was like, hey, this money just needs to sit in this account. I'll give it back. Boom, and that's how you do that. So so from there, that got my appetite wet with real estate. So I started listening to a podcast called Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, Bigger Pockets.
Bigger Pockets. They're great, amazing, tons of just useful information. Listen to all their podcasts. You pick up something from all of them.
That's biggerpockets.org, and then their podcast. If you put Bigger Pockets, all one word.
Yep. So definitely check them out. So listening to them, I had heard about that was my introduction to the BRRRR strategy. So BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, renovate, refinance, something like that, and redo. Might have got that wrong, but you can look it up.
Yeah, basically you buy it, you fix it up, you refinance to get the money that you put into it out, and then you can buy something else.
Exactly. So after hearing about it, I'm like, oh man, this is great. I'm in Philly. This is a great market for this. And I had contacted some of my friends, like, yo, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And then I just sat on the idea. I'm like, this is kind of risky. I don't want to. Everything was too smooth with the Temple property. So I'm like, the Temple property was already rehabbed. I didn't have to touch it.
So you just bought it?
I bought it.
Did you move in?
And yes. Wink. And it was already occupied.
So you just transferred the leases over.
Yep.
And you just started making money.
So
the
day
first day
I went on my closing, I was collecting.
All right. So let's sum this up for Jason. You went to a program.
Yeah.
You found a property.
Yeah.
For $400,000.
Correct.
You put it under contract. You paid no money
down
to buy the house. So you took control of an asset worth $400,000 with no money, with 2 leases that generate money, and you could live in the unit also.
That's correct. So that is one of the best ways.
Genius.
Aside from that program, it's called house hacking, which is where you live in one of the units and you rent the other 1 or 2, however many units you have. So you're essentially living rent free.
Yep.
And so from those savings, don't just go out and ball out and pop champagne and all that. Save that money so you can buy your next property. And so that's what we did. We bought the next property was by Girard College, and it was a single family that we converted into a duplex. Now, it was a single family and it was zoned RM1.
Oh.
If you know the zoning codes in Philadelphia or anywhere, there are certain things you can do with properties and certain things you can't. So because it's zoned RM1, it was a single family. RM1 is a designation that allows you to convert it into a duplex. And so that's what we did.
They love density in Philadelphia.
Love density.
Man. R1, you could do that. I thought you would have to be R2 to do duplex. But
RM1.
man, so basically any house you could
Pretty
make
much,
into a duplex, because I think in Philly almost everything's
you'd be surprised. So
really.
I've been presented properties that were, and I was told, and it was even metered 2 units, but when you look at the zoning, it's they're out of compliance. So if you ever try,
Philly's a wild, wild west. People just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever.
It really is. So so that second property got me going with the burst strategy, like I said, and then we finished that and bought the property right next door.
So what's your vision with investing? And
it's funny. I started investing before I was building Katika. So I had I looked up all the NFL owners, all 32, and all but 3 of them all got their fortunes from real estate. So I was like, that's all I need to see. I was like, this is the way to go. I don't know if I'll ever own an NFL team, but if I want to have true wealth, it's going to be through real estate.
What's real funny about that? Because I never did any research on statistics or anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I just intuitively thought, if you own the land, what's better than owning the land?
The land. And
it's like the most.
That's it seems so basic, but people
simple.
don't even think about that. And a great example of that is, what's my man's name? McDonald's.
Ray
Kroc.
Kroc.
Yeah, Ray Kroc. That was a good
awesome
movie. Yeah.
But if you haven't seen the movie,
the founder.
Ray Kroc did not found McDonald's. It was first started by 2 brothers
named
with the last
McDonald's.
name McDonald's. He partnered with them, and how he gained control of McDonald's is because he owned the real estate that all the franchises were built on. And so he literally just, it's a dick move, but hey, he owned the real estate.
He had all the leverage.
He had all the leverage.
And that's what
it comes down to, owning land.
And
you
that's
have
why
to own land.
we talk about all these racial issues and all this stuff. And I think
it's ownership.
A lot of this stuff,
ownership,
and specifically real estate, because it's the most powerful way to take control. They only used to let white landowners vote.
Yeah.
That's
how this country was initially started.
Between redlining, between them taking back 40 acres and a mule, that would have been. Oh my god! Crazy. Can you imagine every black person had 40? You know how much 40 acres is?
I know.
The wealth that would have been built,
because they were giving away the land.
Well, but they did give away to a lot of. Yeah. They were promoting that as the country expanded west. Yeah. They're trying
they gave the land.
They
away.
were giving it away
it
to get people to move out there.
Yeah.
And they would teach them how to do things. There was programs to teach people how to farm.
That's why it's real annoying when they say that black people need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. And Martin Luther King talks about it. They didn't get boots.
Right.
I need the boots to pull them up.
Right. They gave land away for clearly discounted land, where these people, their families have become millionaires off of this land that they bought for $10 in 1900.
And what's even crazier, as they expanded west and we're giving out land, black people are like, okay, we're going to start going out and expanding.
Yeah.
I.e. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
We finally build a town, prosperous. The dollars circulated 3 to 5, not weeks, not months, 3 to 5 years. That dollar stayed in that community.
Yeah. That's how you.
I didn't even know that. I learned it from that film. Yeah. But then they came and they burned it down.
Yeah.
And also in that documentary on Boss, or WHYY, where it's at, they were talking about the Freedman's Bank, which they established is in consolation to the 40 acres.
Right. They were like, okay, we're going to take that 40 acres and mule back, but here's a bank that you won't own. It's going to be owned by a white person.
Right.
But you can put all your money into it.
But the crazy thing about it was it still worked. They had, in today's money, like $1.5 billion in assets.
Yo, we make so much money and spend it
and then the guy stole all the money out of the bank and it went bankrupt and it destroyed the whole black economy.
Destroyed.
This is why
there was no FDIC to pay the money back. There's no like.
So it's not like black people haven't made advancements. It's they made advancements and then it was taken away.
This is again back to my point about the country. Like they don't care. Like it's designed. I say this all the time. No, it's designed for us not to succeed.
And I'm quite honestly, I'm just learning some of this stuff because I'm like, I used to buy into these narratives, and now I'm like, but it's not true. Like they did build up.
Yes.
And then it literally,
bro.
See, this is the benefit.
It's tripping me out. The more I'm learning, I actually got like, I had to catch myself. I was getting angry. Like,
oh yeah.
You
get real mad.
Yeah, I'm watching these Netflix specials on like Nina Simone, Sam Cooke, and I'm learning like
anytime somebody starts,
like because they put them out, or younger people will hear about them, and we'll just hear about the artistry side of it.
Right.
We won't hear about the business side of Sam Cooke or the civil rights activist that
Nina Simone was,
like, or the fact that I was watching Bob Marley.
Yeah,
Jamaica had a civil war. I'm like, what? Yeah, civil war.
He's talking about that all the time.
Yeah, and the CIA, and it's documented, was down there causing shit. Like, so it's like we keep seeing where there's a time where black people are take two steps forward, but then white people come in, or the system comes in and just destroys and takes us back.
Yeah.
Time and time again. So it's like, at what point are we just going to be like, all right,
this is what that's kind of what my whole project is. The energy behind it.
And it's not like we've had enough, I'm going to go protest. It's I had enough. We're forming the business leagues. We're taking the land.
It's not about protest. It's about separating and doing it for like, I don't want to talk to y'all because of what has happened. Every time we tried to do that, there's been violence or complete. It's like, I mean, even if you don't look at the black community, look at the Native Americans. How many treaties were violated? How much land was taken illegally? Like,
like no one looks at the Native. Well, actually, people do, but like, why are you so messed up? Well, clearly because the land got taken.
Got taken, but they kept believing. They kept believing America. They kept believing like, all right, well, this time, this treaty. I believe this treaty will work. Like looking back, it's like, why would you believe it? But we're still doing it. Like, and this is what I was again. To talk about earlier with the whole Kate Smith and the whole thing. Like I don't care. I don't want to care because if we have our own place that we own, we have our own beach that we own, we have our own anything. We don't have to boycott anything. We're already not going there. That's what real power is. Like I don't have to ask you. I don't have to ask cops to stop killing me. Right. I don't have to ask you to let me have a job. I don't have to. And Malcolm X talked about it all the time. If you're asking your oppressors for jobs and money, you're in what kind of terrible situation is this? Like, this is the same country that enslaved us. Why are we asking them for help? Like, that's not a good model for success. Yeah. So how do you get yourself out of that? That's I think, again, this is the first time where we can all communicate collectively, using social media, using the app like Katika, where we can have a hub where we can, it's a lot more difficult to burn down internet space and app. Like it's like you can't can't go there.
I will be making like hard copies and like putting that shit in some secure locations.
Because but that if you look, I went to HBCU for a time too. I went to Dell State as one of the many. I went to like 3 schools. I had every college experience you could have, but I went to Dell State, and I always had that question too. I was like, why didn't right after slavery, like when you were freed, I would think there would be like an excitement and like you'd be like, all right, let's make. And so I used to wonder that as a kid because in history books in elementary school, middle school, high school, it's like slavery happened, Civil War, Martin Luther King.
Yep.
They skip like a good 250 years there. Like they just skip it. So they did do that. Like black people were getting busy. They were starting business. They were growing the economy. There was a lot of jobs that slaves had. That translated.
They omit any piece of history that makes them look bad.
Well, that you
will not find.
But it also makes us look
good.
Don't
about a Black Wall Street in a history book while you're in school because they don't want to tell you what happened to it. Because people go, "Oh, this is great. Black people, let's go visit it." Oh, you can't. Oh, what happened? Oh, it got burned down.
Yeah.
Yeah. White people fucking lynched people.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Look bad.
Yeah.
So it's like they'll rewrite. It's revisionist history, but also
they rewrite it. They're still rewriting it.
Yeah.
Like
I was it was like I was thinking about if other people that weren't white wrote history books,
right?
How they would sound.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, go through Native Americans.
Yeah, what would the Native Americans say?
On this land and living in harmony, and these white people showed up one day.
And they were struggling to survive.
Right, and they gave disease and...
Well, no, we helped them out.
We thought they were friendly, but that same, like, that little 10 seconds I just said would be applicable to everywhere.
Yeah,
Africa,
everywhere.
India, like... White people
like Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, right? The guy who has a day in this country, Christopher Columbus, right? He lands in what he thinks is India because he don't know where he's at. And his ship crashes. They help him rebuild. He goes back and says, yo, they got all types of resources. Yeah. No, he goes back to this country and says they have all type of resources. Give me men so we can kill them. Like, what? These people, like, I can't imagine. That's like going to your neighbor, like, oh, my car broke down. Could you help me out? Then you go in his house. You're like, oh, I'll be back later. I'll be back later. Thanks for the help, neighbor. Like, that's what that's like. I'm like, and why are we celebrating this guy? Like, yo, it kills me.
I'm so glad that like I'm happy within like the last 2 years. You seem like
that's another thing that's happening is the internet, and as there's so much information on there, a lot of misinformation, but there's a lot of information, and it's causing people to question things that have just been taught.
Only some people.
But it only takes a few people. Like I keep saying, it's like W.B. Du Bois talked about the talented 10th. It's not going to be everybody. You just need a few people to organize and create those pathways. Like he was talking about, like, and I say this all the time. I'm trying to say it less, but most people, I'll just say laborers. Most people are laborers. You need some people to create the pathways, to give a direction so that, they're not in poverty. Like if you can if you can find a place that has an ample workforce and give them a direction.
The older I get, the more I agree that,
Are you gonna say it now?
What? There's always Al says most people are stupid.
Most people are stupid. I keep saying this. I'm trying not to say it because I think it's gonna be offensive. But
I think you need just leaders to be in charge of everything.
No, not just leaders.
Well, not how just do you feel about democracy and voting then?
I think
me and Aaron talk about this all the time.
I think initially it was limited. I think the problem is, right, when I say this, I know the history, right? So I know that they use testing and all that stuff to limit Black people specifically and limit minority communities through language barriers, through ridiculous tests that no one could pass. I know that's why it was used. But I do think that maybe it should be limited to some extent. This
is an argument for the establishment, though.
Nah, it could be. It's an elitist argument. I understand.
I have a debate, or not a debate. We try to work through this because I don't know what I think about it, right? Because most people are not knowing a lot of things.
Right. Yeah.
And so people in power, are they supposed to execute the will of the majority, or should they use, because they've been put on a platform, should they use their own thinking and make decisions in a democracy?
It's even if it's unpopular. This is the thing.
I think do something unpopular.
I think it's a balance between the two. Not the will of the people, what's best for the people.
What's best for the people, and that's different.
But
so
what's best
is unpopular.
Sometimes because it's difficult to get people to understand that, right?
People don't want to eat their vegetables.
Yo, all right, let's take it right. People don't want to eat their vegetables, and that's the best thing for them. Let's take it somewhere else, right? Let's take it to, we got this Game of Thrones board. Jon Snow was a leader, right? He said, we need more help if we're going to fight this army. Everyone there is like...
Spoiler alert. Season 8.
Season 8.
Go ahead.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Sorry about that. No. But, so he said that... You should have been watched this. Anyway, but he said that he needs some help. So, most of the people that that elected him to be their representative are saying, you can't do that. You're abandoning us. This is not what we want. Don't do that. Right. They definitely need help. Should he listen to the will of the majority or do what is right for the people? So you need to, the thing is, how do you find a leader that you can trust to do what's right for you? How can you gauge that? Man, and that's why people are always saying,
you gotta have a track record, just like Jon Snow.
You gotta have a track record, right? You gotta go with somebody that has a track record. But this is why people always say politicians are lying all the time, because they'll say things just to get people to vote for them so they're in a position of influence.
Which is why I think we should have term limits.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
And
Without a doubt.
we should start diversifying the type of people that get elected.
Yes.
So teachers.
They can't all be lawyers.
They can't, right.
They can't all be lawyers or
ex-prosecutors and
prosecutors.
lawyers.
Yeah.
That's
so annoying.
you want to say
something. Don't be scared.
I think the reason lawyers are in the position is because they have a great education and background in the laws that they,
and you can understand the law.
You can understand it because, unfortunately, the law applies to the common man, but it's written
uncommon.
Right. You know what I mean? It's uncommon.
And if you try to read a court decision,
yes, but
I read a court decision sometimes 3 or 4 times before I even understand a dissenting opinion.
What it means,
you know what I mean?
But I think this is why, you have
staffers, right? They understand that shit.
Will help explain this stuff to you while you are the decision maker. So, you can explain the court decision too. You could translate it and then understand it. But yeah, I do. That because on the school board, I'm reading stuff. I'm like, oh, I read it 7 times.
You got to read
it. The Fourth Amendment, right? It's 3 lines. You're free from unreasonable search and seizure in your persons, place, and things. Right?
Yeah.
There's thousands of pages on what the government can and can't do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, everything can be.
That.
Everything can be.
Because we had this argument with this dude and my head's exploding because it's a parking. Let me frame it. Basically, they recently found that it's unconstitutional for them to mark your tires.
I saw that.
Parking. Yeah, and we're trying to explain to this guy. It's not about the irresponsible act of the person who got 15 tickets. It's about the fact that they should not be marking your car, and that violates the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
And this guy could not understand it. I'm like, what don't you understand?
Can he understand the First Amendment about gun?
Right, yeah, I don't understand that.
And one of his defenses, which is a problem with everything we're talking about, he wants to give away his right.
He wants to give us rights away.
People always want to do that.
Well, you have to check their camera.
So, the things you guys talk about, and you were just talking about cars, a can of worms, because these people, I can't even articulate my frustration right now.
I understand.
Especially on, authoritative things. I get really concerned because there's a lot of people with a proclivity to sacrifice their security or sacrifice their freedom for security, and
that's fear.
Concerning.
Yeah, that is.
People are afraid of a lot of stuff, and what happens is you have quote unquote leaders who will manipulate people by using fear propaganda to do things that aren't benefiting to the people that are afraid. They'll say, all your jobs are being taken by immigrants, so we gotta close the borders. But they won't mention the fact that most of your jobs are being automated by industries that aren't going to hire you now, no matter what happens. Mm-hmm. So now your frustration is with a whole different area, and you're mad at brown people. When really your job isn't going to be there anyway. Trump went around saying we're going to bring oil back. How? For what?
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of the things you said appealed to the right people.
It appeals to
in a certain electoral college.
It appealed to what they want to hear. It's not true,
and
that's not a real leader.
So is that a problem with democracy? In general,
yes, this is my point.
I don't know what you do about that, but that is concerning.
Well, there's
it's populism.
Basically, there's 3 things though. There's 3 things. You have to educate people better. People have to learn how to critically think and learn.
It's getting scary out there. People think the Earth is flat.
That's because of misinformation. That's because of misinformation.
That is crazy.
It's
2019. People are still talking about that.
It's misinformation. I was talking about earlier how you can find stuff on the internet. People aren't able to critically discern what is real or what is not. If someone paints a picture that creates doubt in what we were talking about, I was saying earlier, right? We discussed the history books leave out a lot of stuff. So if you were to show that to somebody, they'd be like, yeah, what else did they leave out?
Yeah.
So now you can fill in these gaps with anything, and they're willing to believe it because
the black Hebrew lights and
the doubt. They poke. Once you poke a hole in there, you can fill it with any bit of information, and they're more likely to believe it because now that there's something about doubting a system and being contrarian.
So how do we get? Because what I'm hearing is the masses are misinformed. So how do we get them all to take the blue pill?
I don't think
the Matrix.
You can't do it.
Or is it just lead by example?
You just gotta.
You can lead by example. Be in charge, the right people.
Yes.
I'm sitting at a table, which I feel is a rare occurrence, right? I'm sitting at a table surrounded by people with good intent and sound moral compasses
and who think
and are critical thinkers. I feel like that is so uncommon, man. You can't go out and
but here's
that.
It is uncommon. But here's the crazy thing, right? Everybody thinks that.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone sits at their dinner table with their friends and feels like we're having great discussion.
Yeah.
Even when they're not. even when all their information is misinformed. Like they'll think that we're having a great discussion. Even when the information is not correct or they're not challenging each other's information. Like what happens is you get communities of people that all think the same.
People really have discussions.
I think they do.
Sometimes when I talk to people,
they don't
talk
anything,
about like
there's that
current
people,
events
too.
or like
It's
rappers.
I think it's all individual.
They want to watch freestyle.
No, I was thinking this the other night. So we were at a Katika event, which I want you to talk about the events too in a few. But we were at a Katika event, and our company does the media for Katika. So after we're all at dinner, and we were having a real interesting discussion about the concept of patriarchy and how it connects to the X and Y chromosome and how that's a super uncommon discussion to have at 10 o'clock at night after drinking a whole bunch of wine. Although I don't drink, everybody knows this, but they were drinking wine. But that's that is uncommon. But it's very uncommon, and that's why I'm here, because everybody.
That's why I don't go out.
But that's.
I think you got to give people a little bit more credit.
That's what everyone says to me, but I don't know.
You may not, because think about where do you want to see these conversations? Because these are usually personal or intimate conversations with your close friends that you're having. So it's like you're not going to go out to a restaurant.
How frequently do you have these?
You know, there's a bunch of people out there who never even thought to say.
They don't think about
like you got some friends.
I'm not just here trying to like say that everybody's having these conversations. But what I will say is that I think that it does happen more than you're giving credit, and
that's because you're around smart people.
Yes.
No.
You're in a smart bubble. Everybody that comes, everybody is smart.
You're. Like I was talking about how I was a white collar criminal earlier. So I don't know. Like I'm a people's person. So like I can talk and hang out with anybody.
So can I.
I have been in some neighborhoods and places, and you will probably be like, "Where the
right?
How'd you come out of here alive?" Like,
exactly. I know what you mean.
Is this the Wire? Like, like no, seriously. Like whether it was DC or Philly.
Or some parts of South Jersey.
So I've been in these quote unquote hoods and traps and seeing Smoke the J with people, and they're having intellectual conversations and on their own level, though. They may not use certain terms
is my
or
point.
vocabulary, but they're aware of shit that's going on in their environment. It's like everybody knows that something's wrong, but they can't articulate.
Yes.
But they know something is wrong.
Yes.
Everybody knows something's wrong.
Sure. It's like I shouldn't be living in this poverty.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be like stepping in the trash when I walk out my door.
But this is the difference.
Or like I shouldn't have to like the minimum wage shouldn't be $7 over the last 10 years. It's like something's wrong.
The difference,
I might like express that by robbing somebody or
I understand
fighting
what you're saying. No, people are aware. I'm not saying that
these conversations are.
I'm not saying that people aren't aware or aren't having these conversations. I'm saying when they do, they're wrong. The information they're saying, the conclusions and the actions they, like you said, robbing somebody. The conclusion is, man, this is no. That's a bad example. But like, all right, let's use something. Okay, the conclusion will be. Somebody will be at a dinner table and say, global warming, man, this weather's been crazy. And somebody will look it up, be like, well, this says global warming is not real. Like, think about it. It was cold last week. It was snow. So they're having the conversation, but they're just not understanding what they're like. They're missing pieces.
I would say, and that comes down to your exposure, like what you come into contact.
There's a whole lot of things that come into to make someone be a critical thinker, to allow someone to have unique thoughts and to be a leader. And it's very rare.
So I would say, I'm going to give one more example. So everybody's talking about how weed has become illegal now, right?
Yeah.
Weed has been in our community
forever. Yes.
There are, side note, I've heard brothers break down weight and like numbers.
Yeah, they know it.
Like they're fucking
professional.
Professors.
Yeah, professional growers.
So that's something that is a part of our culture, but also speaks directly to them. So when they hear, hey, this state or this region is about to become legal.
Yes.
I'm hearing the conversations, oh, how can we start to get into this industry?
Yes.
So now that sparks the mind. That turns up the intellect. Like,
yes.
Now they're going to start doing their
You know what it
research.
is?
And this.
I think
So there, it has to be relevant, right?
Mhm.
A person in the hood is not thinking about global warming, even though they probably should.
Right.
But they're going to be thinking about, okay, they're selling one type of drug, but another type is going to be legal, and they could operate in that industry legally now.
Right.
They don't have to worry about being arrested.
So here's
so they're going to put more effort and energy and thought.
You know what it really is? The people.
So
to me, a leader, right? And people, again, when I say people are stupid, I'm not saying that they have no function or no value or any of that. I'm not saying any of those things. Yeah. I think what
you gotta come up with a synonym or something.
No. A critical. I like the shock value of it to some extent, but a critical thinker sees the connections between all these things. Like that's what makes someone, to me,
and not only just sees connections, but can manipulate the world around you. To
eventually, but first is just the understanding of that things are connected. So, like, if you, like, for example, you might be having a conversation, like, you could be somewhere having a conversation, like, yo, how we end up here? Why don't we have any resources? Like, why don't we have, they wouldn't say resources. Why don't we have any jobs? Like, why can't I go get a job? If it would take someone of unique mind to connect the redlining, to connect the economic,
yeah, that definitely takes a different.
It takes a different. So this is what I'm saying. So like when you start talking about weed legalization, right? Like you're looking at it like, oh, here's how we could spin this. Here's how it's connected to what's going on. Here's how this community can profit off of it. Most people don't jump to that step. And I think, because I keep saying this, I know that I talk to mostly, pretty smart people. Like that's the people I enjoy having conversations with. And that's my circle. I think when people are really talented, smart, and educated, they don't understand people don't do that. But a lot of people just don't do it.
You want to talk about this weed business? I've seen you guys.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you're worried about the feds or not.
Not at all. So because doing our research, last year the Congress passed what's called the Farm Bill, which made CBD legal in all 50 states.
Federally?
Federally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now CBD is an extract from.
Yeah.
It can come from either marijuana or a hemp plant.
Mm-hmm.
The the CBD that we use is from a hemp plant. So we're now creating a product. It's actually gelato. And we infuse the extract from CBD with the gelato. And now we have CBD gelato.
Right.
So the benefits are, anti-inflammatory, reduce stress, lot of benefits to the consumption of it. So it's basically like smoking weed, but without the high and the headache and the psychoactive piece of it.
Where do you get this stuff from?
You can purchase it. It's called Cloud Cups. It can be purchased right now we actually got our first vendor at in the Piazza, Philadelphia, at Creep Records.
Oh.
Creep Records. So
yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good things about CBD. I gotta.
Yeah, it's
good for like chronic pain. I heard
good for chronic pain. Like I said, so people that deal with like, as a matter of fact, some of our like main customers are like older people that have arthritis.
Right.
So they don't want to take the pills anymore. People that don't want to take the opioids and stuff.
Right.
CBD is a great like.
I keep telling my grandmom that because she has. She's all. She's
like if you
it's crazy.
Like just looking at the research, the fastest two demographics of the sales of CBD are baby boomers and Gen X, like your older people, because they're like, I'm coming off of these pills. Like,
because the pills are it's crazy.
The pills
that they push all these opioids. It makes what makes me mad. Every time I see one of those commercials where they talk about the opioid crisis, where it's like, it's messed up that you got addicted. Come here to this addiction center and we'll help you get off. And it's such a crisis. Because where was that? Where was that when it was in the black communities? Where was it when it was crack and everybody was addicted and when it was criminalized and they just throwing people in jail that were like, why is it now that it's in suburban communities and white communities that it's opiate? I know why, but I'm saying like, it's so frustrating to see that. And
that is, I think, the perfect, just like picture of America, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're literally going to treat people that look white this way.
Right.
For the exact same thing, we're going to treat black people this way.
Yeah, they're giving them all type of...
The responses were totally opposite.
Like,
yo, it's ridiculous.
Total opposite.
One was a war on drugs. The other one was let's help.
Let's help. Let's find treatment. This is a disease, and I'm not saying that addiction is not a disease. I'm not like people. It's definitely. I'm not saying addiction is not a disease, but they did not treat black people like they were ill. They just locked them up like they were criminal.
They're bad.
Like this is crazy.
And then to take that stance and then not admit fault with what you did in the past, and then not try to rectify it.
Yeah, there's no rectification, none.
Reconciliation, and even with the CBD and states passing.
Black people can't sell it. Yeah,
either can't sell, but are locked up because they had a small amount or something.
Yeah,
and now
they're still in jail.
To make millions of dollars off of it.
Right. It's like freaking. It's that show. Remember that show Weeds? Yeah, that was on Showtime where the white mom started selling weed, and like nobody really expected it because she was like a white lady. Like this is what's actually happening now. Like you have black dudes that got locked up for a little bit of weed and they're still in jail, and now you got these white suburban moms talking about weed helps me with my kids in the morning. Like there's actually articles that said that, and like they're making their little dispensaries and they're making money off of it, but and they're still in jail. Like you can't do both.
It's like. People always say, "Oh, don't make it racial." Like
everything's racial.
You all set the table, right?
Right.
It's like again, it's like if you could show the examples where it wasn't so drastic.
Yeah, I think
the difference of treatment, but it's like when you show us time and time again, we're going to treat you like this and us like this.
Right.
It's like
I hate when people say,
call it out.
I hate when people say, "Don't make it racial,"
because that is frustrating. Because I think that minorities wish that we didn't have to have these conversations.
Yeah, who wants to have it?
Nobody wants to be
I trade
a black thing or this is a white thing. Or nobody wants to.
I would trade that instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like who wants to say that?
But there's problems.
The problem to me when somebody says you're making it racial, I was like, you don't understand the history of this country. This whole country is built.
No, just like this conversation I had online with some lady, she literally was trying to say that the Native Americans didn't have their land stolen from them.
Okay,
like,
she don't know.
No.
I'm not talking to her.
No, but that's a narrative that because of history and because of education and who's buying the books and all this stuff,
who writes the books,
who's writing the books,
and who writes the books creates this consciousness and what they believe.
Yep.
Well, no, and
then and this is the problem is that we endlessly are trying to convince people.
I'm not trying to convince, and this is one of the things.
But you get sucked into that thing where you're trying.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
and then it's like,
I'm doing a lot less of that.
Just like this podcast. Like while I'm sitting here, right, I'm like, I kind of want a broad audience, but all the stuff we're talking about, I'm like, dang, it's going to disenfranchise a lot of white people from listening because we're talking about racial stuff that is going to make them feel uncomfortable. But I'm not going to not do it. But at the same time,
because they should hear it.
While I'm sitting here, I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
I was thinking that same thing too. I was like, dude, ain't no white people gonna watch this. So they're gonna get on that first hurdle of race, and they're gonna be like, next channel.
Maybe. I mean, but that's a chance that you have to take because there were white people marching alongside King and civil rights. So it's like there are woke white people.
I used to have
white people
same,
continue to watch.
I've had that same thought with my music, right? Like making music because, like you want maximum success. Yeah, just But as a musician with artists and stuff, you want maximum success. You want your maximum audience you can get. But I thought
but see, have you seen this Malcolm Gladwell thing where he's talking about spaghetti sauce?
Mm-hmm. I like Malcolm Gladwell a lot.
So there's a TED talk. He's talking about spaghetti sauce, and it changed my mind and how I think about things in business, especially. Is that he said he was hired to study spaghetti sauce, how to make the best spaghetti sauce, and so. They kept making it chunkier, sweeter, spicier, whatever. And they didn't understand the data because it never really went above a certain point. And he said, like 10 years later, he said, it's not because you can make the best pasta sauce. You can only make the best pasta sauces. So what they did was they made an extra chunky version. They made a garlic version and they made another version. And what they saw was that the testing was exponentially higher in those categories for the people that liked those specific things.
Right.
And it's basically why we see craft beer now, because everything's a niche now.
Yes.
And especially because of technology, and it's cheaper to produce
It's
things
easier to find your
and
own
make
niche
custom
now.
things.
Yeah.
Right.
You only need a niche if you can satisfy that small niche. They're
Right.
going to be more loyal to you because they really like your product
Right.
versus the generic.
Which is why
Blood,
I don't care about you,
because no one
about,
really likes the generic pasta sauce.
Right.
They're
you want what
like,
you
it's
want.
okay.
So, and this is what,
But I want mine with garlic.
we've had this
and if that's
conversation
available,
Right.
I'm going to get that.
You don't
about
get
his stuff before anyway, because like, you know, he
I know.
talks about a lot of real estate, and he wasn't necessarily making it for a black audience, but because he's brown, you know, a lot of people think they don't know he's black, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right,
but because he was brown and
That's right. First time I thought he was like Pakistani.
see, that's right. But even with that, right?
And then they're like, why is he talking like this?
Yeah, I used to be, people used to DM me. He'd be on our Facebook talking about black people stuff. And people be like, yo, what's up with your boy, dog? Why is he talking?
Yo, I'm always oblivious to that people think
God.
that I'm not black because I'm so, you know, all the stuff I'm advocating for, and then people are confused.
Hey,
Like,
I think it's just the hair. I swear, it's
Something.
just the hair. Like,
Yo, but on your YouTube channel is a lot of black people watch because
it is. So that's a
It just
really
happens.
crazy thing, and you know, because I don't have a ton of viewers, but like I get a lot of emails from people, like probably at least one a week, saying, you know, I appreciate the information. How do I do X, Y, Z? And I always ask them, how'd you find me or whatever? And they were like, well, you were the only black or brown face on this, you know, in their search criteria.
wow.
And that means something,
That
you know,
does.
because we're not represented very well in a lot of these businesses.
So many industries.
That's part of it.
And
Yeah.
I was just that is again like I don't want to keep bringing up Katika, but
No,
it's important.
it feeds back into that mission, because to that very thing, people want to see or feel more comfortable talking to or engaging with someone that looks like them. They want to be able to see themselves in the mirror. So like a perfect example is this: it's
Therapist.
like not even for like basic service. Think about healthcare, right?
Yeah.
So like black women's like
Mhm.
childcare mortality
Yeah,
is like
way
3 or 4
high,
times higher than any other demographic. Why? Because they're being treated.
There's a bias.
It's a bias.
Mhm.
So, and then when they put that same stat up with black women that are treated by black doctors, drops.
Right.
Isn't that
Because they don't
weird
listen
thing?
to them.
So that's crazy. But so knowing that, we should then take the charge and say, okay, we need a face for real estate. We need a face for black doctors, for whatever industry.
Yeah.
And then again, make it easily found.
Right.
Katika.
Right.
And there it is. And because I was thinking, like, therapists, I think is a big thing. Like having a black therapist,
someone that understands your
and
perspective.
you don't have to be black necessarily, but like cultural affinity.
Yeah, there's just certain things that a black person will get that a white person just won't.
Yeah, like I can't.
And that's not trying to be racist or whatever. That's just
it's the same. So
right.
like
what do they do?
It's the same time as a dude, right? Like if a girl is trying to express to me what it's like to be a girl, like to walk into a room or walk past a group of guys, I don't know what that's like. Never did it. I'm a dude. Like,
just like my story about being in the pool and dirty.
Like a white,
how are we going to engage in this conversation? I'm sure we can still do it, but
there's going to be a lot of
difference
explaining
or understanding that's maybe missing.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So I guess we're going to make it a wrap. So Jason, you know what? One thing I want to talk about: how do people sign up?
Yeah, so they can sign up for
Katika.
sign up for Katika. So if you have a business, go on shopkatika.com. At the very top, there's 2 buttons. One says open up a shop. This is for if you want to sell a physical product. The other one is add your business to the directory. This is if you have a service or an actual physical location that you want listed on the directory. Both are completely free. Again, just go on shopkatika.com. Or if you download the app, in the top left menu, there's a section that says add a business. So you can add a business right through the app as well.
And it's super easy. I went on there, I went and
Super
did it. And like, I'm trying to get other people to sign up. I don't
talk
know what's
about
the problem. Just click on it and
do it.
It's a form.
Talk real quick about
hold on, real quick before I forget, because I'll forget. You can sell products straight on the app,
Right through that.
So if you've got a product,
yep.
you could just put it up there and people can buy it like Amazon almost.
Just like exactly like Amazon. We did not want to reinvent the wheel. So we said, okay, what's a platform or a method in which people can grow their business? We said, okay, let's make a marketplace. But not only that, so now let's say you don't have a website or you don't have an app. We are your app and your website. So now people can buy your product directly through. It's a direct deposit. When you sign up your business, you enter in your bank account and your routing number wherever you want your money sent. So when someone hits that checkout button, you get your money. It doesn't come to us, and then we redistribute it. It goes right to you.
That's really big. So if somebody has a product,
I don't know why you're not on there. Yeah,
put it on there. And
Sure.
boom, now you got like your own online store without having to host it or create.
Right.
It's on there. It looks good. It's in the app. There's
money comes
friction.
right to you. Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
So talk real quick about the Katika experiences that you've been doing.
Yeah.
Because they have been going well.
Yes, they have. So we, as a method to get the name out about Katika, we've been hosting different events throughout Philadelphia. So we started off with our first event was the Katika Black Bar Crawl. We had that on St. Patrick's Day. And
you're good.
Okay, we got the audio, right?
Yeah.
On that day, we patroned 4 bars and restaurants, all Black owned. We had Black owned screen printer that we got our T-shirts from, videographer, photographer, everything. Everything was all Black everything day. So so we had that. We're doing another one on May 18th, different locations, but same concept and premise. The other night or last night, we actually just had the Noir. Was that last night? No, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. Yeah.
I lose track of my days. We had Noir wine tasting, where we held a wine tasting event at a Black urban art gallery, and then featured two Black wine labels. One which will be available to buy on the app next week.
Which one is that? Is that Reagan's? Because I've literally got to buy a case of that.
That is Reagan's Reserve.
That John was banging.
So good.
Pinot Noir.
Litty on that John.
And it's made locally. It's right here in South Jersey, Black owned. So
I'm not even playing. I'm getting a case of that.
Definitely support.
That's good.
Definitely support. So we want to keep doing these types of events where we're able to showcase and highlight different Black owned businesses and services in our area. We also do have Philly Tech Week next Saturday, May 4th from 1 to 3 at Enon Church. We're going to be talking about how to create a digital Wakanda, a.k.a. a Black Silicon Valley.
Right.
So really quick, we'll give you 2 stats. Average salary for a tech job is $40,000. Each tech job creates 5 indirect jobs. So we literally could re-employ every Black person in Philadelphia just based off of tech jobs.
Right.
Not to say those 5 indirect jobs are related to tech. They could be a janitor, it could be some type of service.
Right, within the industry.
But it was created because of
tech
job. So next Saturday we're having that talk, and we'll love everybody to come out. It's a free event. You can register at digitalwakanda.eventbrite.com. Boom.
So that's it. That's the Ryan Got the Bread podcast.
Ryan got the bread.
That makes me so uncomfortable. It's Jason Cole. Jason Cole's founder of Katika, real estate investor and critical thinker.
And if you want, you can follow me at Bison Guru on Instagram. And if you want to follow Katika, all of our
Shop Katika.
All of our tags are at Shop Katika. Katika is spelled Katika.
Boom.